Hi, for all of those who won't watch this video until the end, a small spoiler at the beginning. So why is BMC64 better than real Commodore 64? Well, you cannot do this on real Commodore 64. How about a snack? What do we have here? Candy. Hi, what this is the Commodore 64 breadbin case, but what this is not is the Commodore 64 computer. But what I will hope this will become is the BMC64, and that stands for Bare Metal C64. And if I open the hood, and if we take a look inside, let me fix the lighting, we will see that it's full of goodies that we are going to combine together, including this Raspberry Pi 3, to get BMC64 computer. So let's begin. So this Commodore 64 case is relatively in good condition, but there are some markings here, there, some bumps, something like almost melted here. And what is most importantly, if I open the hood, this stand is broken. This one in the middle is missing completely, broken. This one here also broken. So there are some issues with this case that need to be addressed and fixed, but this is the reason why I decided that this will be the perfect case to build something like this. So the idea is to have Commodore 64 case that opens just like this, so like you opening the hood, and to have all these lovely things inside. So let's go a little bit more into details about BMC64. And BMC64 stands for Bare Metal Fork of Vice, and that Vice is C64 emulator, and this version is optimized for Raspberry Pi. Now let's go over some features. Now they claim they have a quick boot time, 4.1 seconds. Now this is over composite because HDMI takes just a little bit more time, but nevertheless this is really fast. But what is more important than this is that between the shutdown state, when the computer is not working, and ready state, when the computer is up and running, there is nothing except Commodore 64 blue screen on your monitor. So no other menus, no other writings, no other logos, nothing, just Commodore 64, and it really does feel like a real Commodore 64. So let's continue. So smooth scrolling for every version, PAL and TSC, that's fine. Latency between audio video, okay, that's really important, and let's hope that it's okay. Another problem that they obviously solved here, and that is shutdown sequence. Like every modern computer, and Raspberry Pi is absolutely modern computer, to power it off you need to go over shutdown sequence. You cannot just plug it up the wall and shut it down on the mechanical switch like we do on Commodore 64. And here we use just the regular switch, Commodore 64 switch, to power it on and power it off. So if they've solved this problem, that's absolutely fantastic. And the most absolutely fantastic stuff is that you can connect your real joystick and real keyboard, Commodore 64 keyboard, directly to Raspberry Pi without any additional boards. So you connect it directly to GPIO pins, and because that could lead to have quite a big mess with the wires inside your case, they produce PCB PCB board that where you can hook up your keyboard, you can place joystick ports, power switch, and everything that we used to have on Commodore 64. Now let's go a little bit more into details. This is a PCB design page where you can see, well, this is mounted on the side of the inside the C64 keyboard case. Now if you want to order it yourself, make it yourself, there is list of components. They are all passive components, they are not active or anything like that. So there is a list of all the elements here, files that you need, Gerber files and every other possible format that you can need. But what is most important and what was most helpful for me is this link here, where author said, okay, my last order on PCB way, here it is, you can use it. So if you go on this link, it will lead you to PCB way, and here you have everything ready. No need to upload Gerber files or configure anything. Just place your order and receive your PCBs right at your address. So this is absolutely fantastic. You cannot go easier than this. So just to go back a little bit more on this page. So the next what we need is images that we need to burn on our SD card, and this is a little bit more information how to build the SD card for Raspberry Pi. And of course you need to provide ROM files like on any Vice installation for your Commodore 64 or any other version of the Commodore machine that is supported by Vice. So kernel, character and basic ROM, you need to find it yourself, but of course use internet and find it without any problem. So if you need more informations, like really in depth, there is a GitHub link. GitHub link, and here there are really any possible information that you will need is here, any possible configuration, setup on anything like that. And we will use just a little bit from this page, because by default Raspberry Pi and Vice is set up to use the USB keyboard, and we will switch to real Commodore 64 keyboard. And this is the reason why we need to do just a little bit more settings before we start using it. So let's continue. So we are continuing. Let me put this a little away. We don't need this. We don't need this. This. So we continue with the empty case. One thing that I'm not really satisfied, because I didn't find right solution for it, and that is this hinges here that I don't know how to build it. I didn't find something that will fit nicely, so I decided to go with this rubber band, similar like here. I will do something similar here. So the glue is cured, so this is ready. I mounted the Raspberry Pi. It looks pretty sturdy, so that's fine. So I prepared this little combination of rubber band. So let's try to mount it here and see how this will work. Just a little bit more right here. Okay, let's try this now. Not so good. Okay, just to show you what I've been doing. So if I place it like this, not good. So in the end I removed this metal ring and leave just rubber band here. I didn't find any suitable nut, so I used just this stand and just to keep this washer here so that the rubber band cannot fall off once the keyboard is closed, and it's working perfectly. So place it like this. I can close it a little bit more, no problem. And if I want to close it completely, just place it here and the keyboard is closed. So this is our PCB. Like you see, I already soldered the headers. These double headers are for the Raspberry Pi. The single one are for the C64 keyboard. This here is for the LED, and this USB connector is for powering the Raspberry Pi. So if you want to, when we install the switch and power jack here, then we can power the Raspberry Pi from this USB. So also I kind of rushed without checking for manual in the part list and solder the Commodore 64 joystick ports right on this PCB, but these are not correct ones. Of course they are not. The correct ones are this one. So these are regular short DB9 connectors, and this is the one that we supposed to use, because you can buy this one, you cannot buy this one, of course. And the main problem here is because they are longer, they are sticking out of the case. That's the first problem. The second, these holes don't match up, so they are not in line, so you cannot fix this whole port to the PCB, so the whole stress is going to the pins, and that's not good. So I need to desolder these first and install one of these. So let's begin. So before we mount the PCB, we need to add this 3D printed part. It goes here on the side, and this part is 3D printed because I don't have 3D printer. This was kindly done by a local robotic association, and I would like to thank them very much for this. And before we combine all this together, we need to remove these screws from DB9 connectors. I totally forgot about them, so let's do that. If I place it here, maybe I didn't. If I place here this, it's kind of loose. So I end up replacing these little fellows with just regular screws, so it takes so much less space. So this bracket here fits perfectly, and the PCB just sits right here. So this is good now. So let's mount it. So this is mounted now, and we can continue with connecting rest of the cables. So the most important one to connect is this flat ribbon cable. It's 40 pins in 2 rows, 2 by 40. It connects here and here. So let's do that. Okay. And I believe this one goes right here. Okay. Cable is connected, and the keyboard goes right here. Okay. And LED goes right here. Okay, so this is it for now. Let's try to close the lid. This case should slide just a little bit to the right because of this piece here, because this rubbers just pull the case, upper part of the case, just a little bit left, and then this is in conflict here, so we need to put it just a bit right. Okay, we will see what to do about that. Okay, so this is it. Just a little bit more cabling and we are almost done. So let's see how to set up a real Commodore 64 keyboard to work with the Raspberry Pi and the device emulator on it. So by default, the device emulator is set up to configuration GPIO configuration number 1, and that means that you can plug in your USB keyboard and use it that way. And also you can go to settings, configured whatever other options that you would like to set up that way. But if you want to directly use a real Commodore 64 keyboard and real joystick, and this is configuration number 2, there is another way, and that is while your SD card is mounted on your computer, you can go to settings.txt file and change it there. So the only one note, and that is when you go to this file, whatever settings or configuration that you want to set, the number that you enter there is just n-1, so whatever this is, and then -1. So we want to set up a real keyboard and a real joystick. That's number 2 here. So that means that we have to write a number 1 in the settings.txt. So like I said, settings.txt in the root folder, simple txt file. If you open it up, it will look something like this. So lots of configuration options, but what we are interested in is this. So by default is gpio_config equals 0. What we want is set up 1, save it, and that's it. We are done. So we successfully set up Commodore 64 keyboard and joystick. That's it. So simple. So today's build of the BMC64 is done. We are still missing the power switch and the power plug, still waiting from China, but at the moment we are plugged directly to Raspberry Pi inside. I'm happy with the build. The lid opens perfectly. Everything is inside, working and placed nicely. It closes just easy, and we have joystick hookup, and we are ready to roll. So ta-da! So this is all for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. And if you like this video and would like to see more, you can subscribe and like. See you next time. Goodbye. How about the snack? What do we have here? Candy.